What's up, Met fans? Welcome back. Talking Mets at Rob. How's everybody doing? Welcome to Mets Hot Stove Live right here on the channel, guys. What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing today? All right, guys. So there's been a lot of news regarding our manager. Scherzer had something to say about it. Cohen has something to say about it. So we'll get into that during the Hot Stove Live, guys. Sorry I'm lagging a little bit, but it should be coming together soon. But say what's up in the chat, guys. Don't forget, guys, please hit on that like button and hit on that subscribe button, everybody. So here we go, guys. How's everybody doing tonight? Say what's up in the chat. Wait for a few more people to roll in, and then we'll get going. Jason Sledge, what's up, buddy? So, as you guys must have heard from Twitter, any type of social media you got, basically what's been going on, Mets have been doing manager searches or interviews. Apparently, Brad Ausmus just did it, had an interview. Apparently, it seems like Buck Showalter, if he hasn't already, will be getting a interview soon. Quacharo from the Rays, the bench coach, is gonna interview for the Mets manager position. And as we heard, Scherzer has been very vocal about wanting Buck Showalter as the next Mets manager. And Cohen apparently told Epler, I want Buck Showalter, but he still wants him to do interviews. I'm assuming it's for bench coaches, third base, first base coach, and everything like that. So I'm assuming a lot of the guys that are interviewing, other than Buck Showalter, like a Quattro and maybe some guy like take a guess. It's probably all types of guys that are probably interviewing just for the bench position, the bench coach, first base, third base, hitting coach, pitching coach for that. Well, even though it seems like we have a pitching coach, but you never know. So I think that Buck Showalter is going to be the manager. So we just have to wait and find out about that. But it seems like they're still going through a lot of interviews, and next week we'll probably hear more news about who is going to be the manager. I have a pretty good feeling that it's going to be Buck Showalter. It just seems that way, and it's just the obvious choice, especially if Bruce Bochy isn't very willing to come to the East Coast, even though he's looking like he's going to get interviewed. So we'll see about that. Once again, guys, please hit on that like button and hit on that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Don't be shy, guys. Say what's up in the chat. Let me know what's going on, and we will get going for the next hour until 6 o'clock. And I will see you guys when there's some breaking news regarding our Mets manager. John, what's up, buddy? Hopefully it'll be soon, so the Mets don't have to worry about that anymore, so we can get the manager in, get our coaches in, and then the Mets can focus in on whenever this damn lockout is going to be over. Then the Mets can get back to business and get our guy, Kris Bryant. If you haven't seen it yet, guys, I posted a video a few hours ago regarding the Mets wanting Kris Bryant. I put a lot of interesting details. I put my my projection on what type of contract he probably will get. Looked at his stats, talked about the stats, talked about how well he's doing this lineup, and all that fun stuff. So check that out when you get a chance. It was up a few hours ago, and if you didn't see the intro, guys, I am doing something with the channel that is going to make the channel better, and it's going to benefit you guys a whole lot more. I will be setting up memberships for my channel, 3 different levels. The first one is the orange and blue membership. The second one is the Shea Stadium membership. And the third one, at the biggest level, is the You Gotta Believe membership. So it's going to be live tomorrow. So if you guys want to join and be a member of my channel, You all are welcome to. The prices will be up when you see them. If you saw the intro, you saw the prices, but I'll go through it later on at the end of the stream. But it's going to be fun, and there's a whole lot of things that are going to benefit you guys when it comes to the memberships, loyalty badges. We're going to have custom emojis that I'm putting together that is going to be fun for you guys to put in the chat. There's also free giveaways that is at the You Gotta Believe level, that anybody who is a member at that level will be able to get free giveaways like I done earlier in my channel with the raffle and the wheel. If you haven't been a part of the channel for that long, check it out. Earlier in probably January or February of last year, I did giveaways like that. So it's going to be a whole bunch of things that are going to interact with, live streams for members, live Q&A. I'm going to do private videos that are Mets related just for you members. And if you're at the Shea Stadium and You Gotta Believe membership level, you also will get access to the videos that I post for everybody on YouTube early. So that's a good thing that a lot of you guys are going to be benefiting from if you want to be a member of the channel. But don't worry, everybody will still see all my videos. Don't worry about that. Just members will get access to them earlier than everybody else. So hopefully you guys will join the channel and make this channel get even bigger than what it has been getting. And I couldn't have done this without your support. So I just wanted to say that before we get into it. Transistor, Andre, Mothman. Who else we got here? Geo, Hayden, what's up, man? So I seen a couple of, let's see. Andre said, Buck is right guy for this team at this point in time. Is Bochy interviewing? Had not heard it. Well, his name is involved. Apparently they asked him and he is getting interviewed. I don't know how serious Bochy is when it comes to coming to the East Coast and managing the Mets. But like I said, if Bochy is serious about managing the Mets and he's 100% in, I think it's a no-brainer. You have to go Bochy over Showalter. But in my opinion, I don't think Bochy wants to come to the East Coast and get all that pressure. You know, he's won championships. He's done it all. So I don't know if Bochy wants to take on that pressure at his age and come into the East Coast, leaving the West Coast that he is so familiar with. With Buck Showalter, and the reason why I want him is that I think he has unfinished business in New York. You know, he got screwed with the Yankees with George Steinbrenner right before the dynasty of the late 90s to early 2000s with the Yankees. Buck Showalter basically built that team from scratch. You know, he had all those young guys that were up-and-comers, the guys that were building a foundation for the Yankees dynasty, and George Steinbrenner fired him and screwed him. And I think he has unfinished business. I think he wants to throw it in the Yankees' face, even though he's working for the Yankees, the Yes Network right now. I think he still has that inner hate for the Yankees and George Steinbrenner regarding what they did to him and firing him. So I think he has that a little notch on his belt to get back at the Yankee fans. And what better way is the Mets winning the World Series in New York, the little brother of New York, right? And beating up the big brother and taking the back pages away from the New York Yankees. I think that's one thing that Showalter wants to do. Mothman says Buck. Andre says Buck. Transistor, I want Buck. Mad Max, it's going to be Buck for sure. Let's see. I want Buck. Let's see what he says here. I want Buck. Mad Max, I want Buck too, exactly. Geo, LFGM. Hayden, what's up, buddy? Transistor, exactly. Bochy does have a good record for sure. You know, again, I don't know how serious he is about coming to the East Coast. Like I said, you know, he's won his championships. He's done what he had to do. So I don't think he is like 100% in on being a Mets manager. I think Buck Showalter wants it. I think he wants the challenge. And again, I think he wants to stick it to the Yankees. So Andre, I don't get I'm sorry. Okay. Where is? Okay, Gio. I'm sorry. What's the hate on Showalter exactly? Honestly, I don't know. Some people were saying that he's not going to use the analytics as much. If you heard and watched Buck Showalter on the Yes Network a lot, he always spoke about analytics, and he was using analytics before analytics was the big thing. Just because he's old school doesn't mean he can't use analytics. He can do that. And Buck Showalter's been around the block. He's going to learn from his mistakes that he made with the Orioles and the Yankees and so forth, and Texas and all that. I do think that people think that he's going to probably be too hard on his players. There's some that say he didn't win a championship. He had his opportunities. He's basically a retread. True. But everywhere he's been, the team made the playoffs. The team got better. I just said about the Yankees, where he built that team up that was ready for greatness, and then George Steinbrenner took his feet from under him and made Joe Torre the manager, and Joe Torre gets all the accolades because of it. Not saying Joe Torre was wasn't going to be a good manager, but let's be honest, Buck Showalter, went through hell with the early '90s Yankees, and finally had the chance to have greatness with the Yankees, and he got screwed basically. So I honestly don't know why people don't like him as much. If anybody doesn't want Showalter in the chat, let me know. Say your opinion of why you wouldn't want Showalter, and then we can debate it, right? Andre says, I agree with you. I agree with you, Rob. On Bochy, he's West Coast guy with less media pressure and 3 titles. Yeah, like I said, I don't know if it's the media per se. I just think in general, does he want to take on the challenge of everything? The Mets haven't won the World Series since '86. You could put the media in there. You can take the New York pressure, all that stuff. Maybe if it was the Oakland A's, or I don't know, the Padres again, or pick your team in Texas, anybody for that matter. Maybe Bochy would think about it. Maybe in the Midwest, a team like that. But I don't think he wants to come to the East Coast and deal with all that, to be honest. Yeah, Quattaro, yeah, exactly. Hayden, I think he's honestly, in my opinion, I think it's almost a 90% chance. I think 90-10 that Buck Showalter is going to be the manager, and they're interviewing guys like Quatraro and Joe Espada, maybe to be bench coaches for this team. And why not, right? Quatraro has shown he can be a really good bench coach behind Cash in Tampa, and Joe Espada with the Astros, also obviously with the Yankees as well. So, putting that great combination together might be the reason why the Mets are making all these big interview lists, so they can gather not just the manager, but bench coaches as well. Nelson, what's up, buddy? Yeah, exactly, Andre. Exactly. That's what I think too. Midwest, West Coast, a team like that, if he's gonna manage again, he's gonna try to go for a winner. A team like Texas, if they don't do well this year with all the money they spent, maybe they'll get rid of the manager and bring in Bochy. You never know. Transistor, I agree. I think we need Bryant, another starter, and some bullpen help. And I think that's where the Mets are going to go. I think as soon as this lockout is over, the Mets are going to go right after Chris Bryant. There's no doubt about it. As I said earlier, I did another video about Chris Bryant and why the Mets are ultimately going to get Chris Bryant, in my opinion, and what it will take. Check out that video after this live stream, and you guys can understand why I think the Mets are going to get him. Ron, exactly. I agree. Exactly. I want Showalter, but if Bochy is 100% in and wants to do this, you can't not take Bochy. You can't say, I'd rather have my choice. If Bochy and Showalter want the job, the Mets can't go wrong either way. But I'd rather go Bochy with the championships and all that stuff. I think it makes sense. Nelson going with the killer bees. I like that. Jose Camacho, what's up? I agree 100%. Showalter and Bryant. That's true, Ron. But I think that's why the Mets are interviewing all these guys to see what guys are interested in being a bench coach. Bob Guerin, the Dodgers bench coach, he is getting interviewed for the Mets manager position. I wouldn't be surprised if he would want to come back to New York. He did have success with the Mets under Terry Collins. He was the bench coach when the Mets made the World Series in 2015. So you never know. Well, Andre, I mean, they already let him go interview with the Mets. I mean, they could have denied him completely. I mean, if he wants the opportunity, if he sees the opportunity to grow with the Mets, Cash might be around a long time with the Rays. So, you know, Quatraro might think he has a better chance of an older Buck Showalter who might be here for 3 or 4 years, maybe. And Quatraro can be that guy, the next man up. It's possible. Maybe that's why he wanted to make that lateral movement. Andrew, what's up? How you doing? Rhino, Rhino, Rhino. Mothman, Buck, Buck, Buck. I agree, agree, agree. I don't, that's interesting too because Espada's been around the block. I mean, again, the Mets have a lot of good candidates. This time around, it wasn't like the nonsense that Brody brought in. That didn't even interview a lot of veterans, a lot of experienced managers. It's nice to see that these guys are experienced bench coaches, experienced managers. Even if somehow the Mets go a rookie manager like a Joe Espada, a Quatraro, uh, pick your guy. That's not Buck Showalter or Bochy. Guys who are bench coaches or coaches around the league, you can't go wrong. Like if Joe Espada is the guy who's chosen as Mets manager, I'll be a little upset because I wanted Showalter or Bochy. But Espada is a respected guy throughout baseball. And he could be one of those managers like an Alex Cora, who is the bench coach under Hinch in Houston. And we might get an Alex Cora type of manager. And why not, right? You never know. Andre, I agree, man. This lockout, look, I understand. Like, I am pro union. I get it. You know, but when billionaires face off against millionaires, whenever you hear about a union in this country, it's usually about money, right? Fair wages, better benefits, whatever. But it's usually middle class workers fighting against the billionaire corporations to get better salaries, not millionaires who don't need the extra 250 grand in their pocket fighting with the billionaire. That's my problem. And the only thing I agree with the players is I don't think a team should have control over a player for 6 years when they bring them up. That's a lot. A lot of these guys coming out of college, 23, 24 years old, they're not going to see their first free agency until 30. They might get one big contract, maybe. And there's no guarantee that if they're not as good, they might not get a second contract. So I agree with that aspect. I think the 6 years is a little excessive. I think it should be maybe 4 years max. I will go 3. It hurts the teams, yeah, but it makes the teams make decision on players a lot more, which in the weird aspect of it, it makes free agency better, it makes trades better, it makes off seasons better. Because just think of it this way, guys. If teams had control over a play for 3 years, McNeil would be interesting, Brandon Nimmo would be interesting, Pete Alonso would be interesting for the Mets. So that's what I have to look at when it comes to that. So I think the service time with the the player with the team should be reduced from 3 or 4 years from 6. That's just my opinion. Andrew, my only thing is if you go older, the bench coach need to be the manager in the wings if needed. Yeah, I mean, it's not like football or even basketball for that matter, or sometimes hockey. Baseball is a little bit different. The only time usually when the bench coach gets promoted is when the manager gets fired in season, and that's when the bench coach becomes the manager, the alternate manager, or the something like that. It never is you see a guy, when Dusty Baker retires with the Astros, his bench coach is going to take over. It usually doesn't happen like that with baseball. They usually try to find the next best thing elsewhere because usually the manager who gets fired, their coaches under him are usually a lame duck after the season. So it's hard to look at that when it comes to baseball. I agree. Carlos, 100%. What's up? How you doing? Thank you for tuning in. I agree. I think somebody has to get in Lindor's face, and Buck would do that. And that was the problem. Basically, Rojas let Lindor run the asylum. And that was the biggest thing. Just because he's the $340 million man does not give him the right to put his hands on somebody such as McNeil and treat him like he's a piece of dirt. How about Lindor being a leader, taking McNeil on the side and say, hey, listen, I know you don't like these defensive positionings. I don't like them either, but we have to be team players. We have to listen to our manager, listen to the analytics, and let's do what we have to do. That's all he could have done. And there wouldn't have been a fight. There wouldn't have been a stupid raccoon. And who knows what would have happened. Maybe they would have been best of friends. But that's another reason why McNeil is probably gone from this team because of the whole issue with Lindor. And that's unfortunate because I think McNeil is going to hit in this league. And I think it's so bad with Lindor and McNeil, he's not going to be able to be on this team. Unless somehow, they had a Kumbaya moment and they're friends again. But I doubt that. Transangia, we should, that's interesting. But again, I don't see the Mets right now trading their prospects. Even though I am very on trading Mauricio for many reasons, and almost every video that involves a trade is regarding Mauricio, and that's because, well, the Mets do not have a position for him, especially if they get Chris Bryant. Mauricio has not played second and has not played third in the minor leagues. The Mets have not moved him from there. Knowing that they have Lindor for the next 10 years, it only makes sense for the Mets to move him to second base because honestly, guys, you can't move Mauricio to third base in any level because you got Vientos and you got Beatty. So third base is out of the question. Second base is the only place they can put him. And in my opinion, the Mets should have done that last year after they signed Lindor. Mauricio needs to play second base. If they're saying that he's untouchable, put him at second base, see what he can do, and in a year, bring him up if he's ready. But leaving him at shortstop, you're just wasting his talent when you can use it on this major league team at second base, but play him at second base in the minors. If not, and in my opinion, I think the Mets are keeping him at shortstop because he is a valuable asset at shortstop, and they want to keep his value high so they can at some point trade him. That's my opinion. They haven't said that obviously publicly, but that's what I feel. Because there's no reason why you shouldn't move Mauricio to second base. But trading with Cleveland, I'm thinking you're talking about J-Ram, Oakland with Chapman. Of course. Yeah, Hayden, of course. Everybody's going to side with the players because, let's be honest, we have two sides, right? We have the players, we have the owners. Most of the time, fans or middle-class people are going to go with the lower and the middle class of the league, right? Which are the players, right? The players are the middle class of baseball. You know, I don't see, they were talking about, I forgot what I was watching an interview from a couple of players. I don't remember where it was. I think it was on MLB Network. I could be wrong. But players, now these are guys that are making 15, 16, 17 million dollars a year. Not one time did they say we're trying to fight for more money for uh rookies that come up in their rookie contracts, when they're ARB eligible and stuff like that, when they're making $500,000 their first year and it goes up a little by little. They're trying, they didn't say that we want to try to get them $1 million a year when they first come up. So, they're fighting for stuff that, that's probably going to put a couple of $100,000 in their pocket, not millions and millions. So service time, I think, is a big thing, but you haven't really heard much about that, even though I think that's one of the big problems. But, there's no incentive right now for them to get to the negotiating table. That's why I think it's going to last until January, unfortunately, when they really start to get serious. Because the closer we get to games, the closer we get to owners and players not making money. And, they want to do that. Well, I mean, they got to the lockout because, well, the CBA expired. The pandemic was just showing you how much of disagreements they have. I don't think if there was no pandemic that there would have been a lockout this year. I think it would have been because they don't agree on nothing. They don't agree on salary. They don't agree on service time. They don't agree on the DH. They don't agree on anything. And that's the problem. Like, what I don't understand, any negotiating with a union or anything in that nature when it comes to money or anything like that, they usually have an arbiter like they do for players and owners or teams when they have to negotiate an arbitration deal. Get an arbiter that is neutral and let them hammer it out. They get the concerns from both sides and try to have a neutral party that negotiate the terms. And they should do that. I don't know why they don't do that. But yeah, you're right, Andre. Manfred hates Clark. Clark hates him. It's just a mess. And the people who get affected by it the most is us, the fans, unfortunately. Yeah, well, yeah, Andre, that's the other problem. A lot of teams are pissed off that they're paying luxury tax and giving it to teams like Pittsburgh, who, like you said, Andre, they pocket the money. Pittsburgh has a beautiful stadium in PNC Park. It would be beautiful if it was filled every game and putting the team around there. And let's be honest, Pittsburgh is a big sports town. They get behind their teams. When an owner pockets the luxury tax money that he gets from other teams, that should be illegal, in my opinion. It's not like he's earning that money based on revenue. He's just pocketing the money. It's basically getting cash out money and putting it into your own pocket. That's basically what it is. And that's a problem. It's a real problem. And I don't think it's actually, that might change. There might be a salary cap floor that every team has to spend at least $70 million on a payroll for their team. Maybe they'll do that. But when there's a salary floor, there might be a salary cap. And that's what players are worrying about. So we have to see if that's going to happen as well. But there's so much to deal with. Meet the Mets. I love that name. LFGM. Yeah, Transistor. Speaking of minor league guys, yeah, Beatty, look at that. Beatty moved up the depth charts. 2 years ago he was like fifth or sixth in the Mets top 10. Now he's number 2. And just so you guys know, I spoke to Joe DeMaio from SNY, who is awesome when it comes to Mets prospects, and he just came out with his top 20 Mets prospects of 2022. I spoke to him, I'm going to be doing an interview with him regarding his top 20. So look out for that in about a week or so. I'm speaking to him, so I'm going to be interviewing him and talking about all of the Mets and specifically the top 10. So that's going to be very fun to do. Andre Mauricio in center field. Yeah, like I said, Mauricio, again, if you want to play him in center field, you got to start playing him there. You can't just throw him there like the Mets seem to do all the time. You know, Dominic Smith never played the outfield in his life. Now the Mets put him in left field. Same thing with McNeil. Never played the outfield, always infield. Put him in right field. That's a problem. You know, it doesn't work. And the same thing, you know, and I had a conversation with somebody. It was kind of an argument in one of the comments when I said they should trade Mauricio in the offseason, last offseason for Chris Bryant and all that. People are like, oh, just throw him to second base. It's not, you know, it's similar to shortstop. People don't realize that shortstop and second base, you know, turning double plays, you know, it's different. You know, you're not moving to your left to cover second base. Now you're moving to your right to second base. There's different areas where you have to cut off the ball. It's different from shortstop to second base. You know, now second baseman, you know, when they do the wheel play during a bunt, the second baseman has to cover first base. When you're a shortstop, you don't have to do that. So it takes a lot to just move from shortstop to second base. It's not that easy. You know, when everybody's like, oh, Bo Baez did it? Yeah, Bo Baez kept on playing there. And he played multiple positions in the Cubs organization in the minor leagues because they also had Addison Russell. Remember? So they moved Javier Baez. He got, when he came up to the majors, he was at second base for a little bit with Addison Russell, who was the better shortstop. And then he went back to shortstop when Addison Russell had that whole issue in his personal life. So if they're going to keep running Mauricio, move him to second base, make him learn. And if he catches on very well, now the Mets have a second baseman for a long term. You'll have Beatty at third base for long term, Mauricio at short second base with Lindor and with Alonso. That's a great infield right there. But you have to move Mauricio to second base. You know, Hayden, I think his value is as high as it could be. It could probably get a little higher. But honestly, anybody who calls the Mets know that Brett Beatty and Alvarez is untouchable. So teams are going to start asking for Ronnie Mauricio. It's going to be the first name out of their mouth. But it has to be for somebody who the Mets think that can be a star. Like Transistor just say, a J-Ram. That would make sense, right? You put J-Ram at third base, but again, you're blocking Beatty, who can be up next year. He might even be up in 2021 if he still rakes in AA and AAA. It's just a matter of, you know, J-Ram's going to block Beatty for 2 years until he becomes a free agent. So, you know, are you willing to give up Mauricio, who can move over to second base? That's not a problem. So I don't know. Again, if you're going to get J-Ram or Chapman, you're blocking Beatty now. So there's another thing. You're blocking Vientos now. So, you know, you're blocking guys that are in your top 5, top 6 in your farm system. You know, that's, you know, you got Mauricio, you got Vientos, you got Beatty. All 3 of them are third. 2 of them are third base and 1's a shortstop. So, you know, you can't keep on holding these players and not moving them to positions that they will succeed in and they can come up to the majors. That's why that's why when people talk about Chapman and people talk about J-Ram, people have to look at the fact that, okay, yeah, you can trade a Mark Vientos or Mauricio for one of those guys. But you also have to remember, you have to also think about, is Beatty the guy that's going to be a future third baseman? Is Mauricio going to get changed over to second base so he can be a second baseman of the future? Because honestly, if the Mets get rid of Jeff McNeil, you're going to have Robinson Cano for 2 years, who's probably going to be gone after this year, after the 2021 season. There's a lot to look into with that. So, Second base is probably going to be open, and that's why signing Bryant is probably more realistic than trading for J-Ram or Chapman, because it only makes sense. You're only spending money and you're not giving up prospects. Chris Bryant, you can play him, like I said, third base, second base, left field, right field. In my opinion, if you sign Bryant, you can put him in left field. Then you can use Dominic Smith as trade bait for maybe a pitcher. And that's the way it will work out. And you still have your open spot at second base and third base for a Vientos or whatever you need to do when Beatty comes up. You move Chris Bryant somewhere. The problem with getting J-Ram or Chapman, if Beatty rakes and is just excellent and he's ready to come up to the pros, where are you going to put J-Ram and Chapman? They don't play anywhere else. At least with Chris Bryant, you put him at third base, you put Escobar at second. If Beatty comes up or Vientos comes up, gets brought up to the majors, at least Chris Bryant can play somewhere else. And you put whoever is the guy, Vientos, Beatty, at third base. You can move Chris Bryant somewhere where he's going to benefit you where he played before. And you're not going to have guys out of position. And that's what I think the Mets have to get away from. Too many times over the last couple of years, they've been playing guys out of position, and it's hurt them defensively. It's got on their mind. It hurt them offensively because they've been thinking about the defense. I don't want that crap anymore. Get guys that are supposed to play their rightful position. And if the Mets do that, they'll be a lot better off, in my opinion. Transistor, that's true. I don't know if the Cleveland's going to give up Bieber. He's very cheap. So I don't, he's probably got 3 years left on his in his service time with Cleveland. So I don't know about that. I don't want Kimbrel. I think he's just like he's just as bad, I think, as Diaz. I don't think he's made for New York just as much as Diaz is not made for New York. I think Kimbrel will be a disaster in New York, in my opinion. I think we just stick it out with Diaz because I think that's our best option. Merlin, how you doing? Baseball Mike, what's up? Yeah, I heard. Oh, Mikey, what's up, buddy? I didn't realize who it was for a second. I don't know about Rodon's shoulder. I heard about that. I don't think it's a rotator cuff. I don't think it's as bad, but I did hear about that. I don't know where I saw that at, but that's Mike. I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't. I would like the Mets to sign him. That would be a nice number 3, right? But yeah, I don't know. Honestly, hopefully it's not that big because I feel like the Mets are going to try to get him. Let's bring in everybody. Bring in Bryant. Let's bring in Rodon. Kikuchi. Who cares, right? It's not, it's not our money, right? But what's up, Mike? Hey, Mike, you going to spring training this year? Andre, I do that in a heartbeat. Ginge Young, he might take him a couple more years to come up. McNeil, the same thing. McNeil, I think he's done with the Mets, so you might as well use him as an asset. And Mauricio, again, doesn't have nowhere to play at the moment. That would be a nice trade, actually. Steven, how you doing? Albino Ruiz, what's up? Roberto. Mikey, I agree. We definitely got to trade Davis for sure if we get Bryant. Or keep him on the bench or make him a DH, right? He can hit. Hey, Mikey. Yeah, Bieber did have a down year, Mikey. But again, can it be just because he was with Cleveland and Cleveland sucks? Would you want to pitch for him? I feel like he wants to get out of Cleveland, honestly. Probably trying not to get hurt, I guess. La Potencia, are we favorites for Bryant? Maybe. Again, with this lockout, there is no negotiating at all. So, I guess you could say yeah because you got the money, but it's just a matter of how much the Mets want Bryant. So, We shall see. And yeah, Bieber was injured, wasn't he, this year? I would think. I thought he had like an arm injury. I don't think he had Tommy John, but he had an arm injury. But I wasn't really focused on that honestly with Bieber. But if the Met, if he's healthy, if the Mets can get him, that'd be insane. Oh yeah, he would be cheaper. I don't know if he would be cheaper because he is young and has control, but you never know, right? You know, odd things have happened. I mean, the Mets gave up all their shortstops for Lindor, so and Carrasco. So I don't know. I guess we have to wait and see. When this lockout is over, let's hope we can actually, you know, things can get rolling again because this lockout is, it was a lot of fun with all these, because they knew the CBA deadline was coming, all these free agent sign-ins, some trades. It was fun. Now we might not have no news until what, January probably. Reginald, what's up? How you doing? If Mauricio was to be traded for a pitcher, would Mauricio, Davis, Dom plus gets be enough to acquire a top-notch star, Luis Castillo? I don't know if JD Davis and Dom is going to do it with Mauricio, honestly. Castillo does have 2 years left before he's a free agent, so he does have, service time still. And, getting 2 years of Castillo is nice. I think you're probably going to have to add another lower level, maybe a top 20 prospect, like maybe in the top 15 or something like that. But, like a Palmer, Jalen Palmer, somebody like that as well. It's a lot, but again, it is Luis Castillo. But I mean, that's a starting point when you talk to him and chatting, So, but that can be an option. Like I said, I don't know if the Mets, like I said, I don't think the Mets are going to explore big time trades with their prospects when there is pitchers out there and there's a position players that can easily be bought with money. So, I think the Mets want to build up their farm system through the draft. We have a lot of draft picks this year. So I think they're going to spend more money than actually make a big trade. They might make a little trade for, again, like a guy like Taylor Rogers, who is the Twins bullpen guy who's been pretty good. Something like that, like a minor trade. Yeah, yeah. See, with Kana, I don't think the Mets think he's going to be a starter. He'll play every now and then, but I don't think you can make Kana your everyday left fielder. I think that's a little dangerous, actually. He's not that good. He's okay. I mean, he batted 236. Has a little bit of pop, but he ain't great. He's better than Dom Smith defensively, but again, I think that's why I think the Mets are going to go get Chris Bryant. Put Chris Bryant in left field. See what you got to do with second base or third base, but why not, right? That's why I think the Mets are going to be after Chris Bryant, to be honest with you. Andre, do you think the lockout's going to go to March? God, I hope not. But again, I don't think so. I think the owners and the players have too much to lose. So I think like late January, they're going to get everything together, in my opinion. So I think January. At least I'm hoping for January. Mikey, Granny has bench coach to Showalter. What's that's not bad actually. Obviously Granny's a professional. He'd be a perfect bench coach though. That would be great. I don't know if he would be like like the number 2, like right behind Showalter, but why don't you put Grandy at like the third base coach or the first base coach? I mean, he was a stolen base threat, not just with the Mets, but with the Yankees, the Tigers. Put him at first base, right? Make him learn on the job. Maybe he can be one of those guys that gets that experience by being a bench coach, a third base coach, first base coach. That would be good, though. Grandy's the man, though. Yeah, La Potencia. I do see adjusting the rotation. I think more via the free agency, only because I'm thinking Again, you got Rondon, you got Kikuchi, you got guys like that are going to be about 2 or 3 year deal, that can help the middle of your rotation. So I think that's where they're going to go. I think Kikuchi is interesting to me, even though I would rather have Rodon. But as Mikey said earlier, he has some type of shoulder issue. I don't know if it's a rotator cuff or not, but it was something with his arm. Kikuchi, isn't great, but when you have a close to a 3.7 ERA in the American League, you can probably drop that down a few points in the National League, like a 3.2. So, and he's Rodon and Kikuchi are lefties. So, and the Mets need a lefty. They do got David Peterson, but we don't know if he's going to be 100% healthy by the time the season starts. So, we do need a lefty in that rotation. Why I think those two guys are very intriguing to me. Ruiz says too much for Castillo. It's a lot. It is. But, talking about a rotation that has Scherzer, DeGrom, and Castillo, I mean, nobody will want to face you in a divisional series. I mean, my God. Pitching those 3 pitches in a row? Jeez. Ed, how you doing? Bassett is interesting, though. He is very interesting. It might take a similar package like we talked about with Castillo. Maybe a little less, but Bassett's interesting. But it's just a matter of the A's are going to be willing to give him up, Ed. But that's a good call, Ed. That's a really good call. Steven, what's up? Kelly Jansen, I think he's past his prime, honestly. He was terrible with the Dodgers over the last few years. He had real problems, and he does have that heart condition. And he's a big guy. He's gaining weight. He's a little older. He doesn't have that big time high 90s fastball anymore, like he did 4 or 5 years ago. I wouldn't go there, and I don't think I wouldn't trust that. Not as our closer. For sure. I mean, honestly, when you got Carrasco, is he going to be healthy? He's another year older. You got Taijuan Walker, who I think is going to be good for us. I think he's going to be someone like the guy he was the first half. You got to remember, the reason why he wasn't good the second half was because he hasn't pitched that many innings in almost 3 years. So I think that caught up to him. He got tired. So if he can pitch the way he did in the first half, that's a great number 3 to have, right? Again, Carrasco with the injury, hopefully he's healthy. But again, he's another year older. Tyler McGill, I think he's going to be fine. If he's on number 4, number 5, give me five innings, 80 pitches, 2-3 runs. I'll take that every time from a 5th starter. But, the 5th starter, he's got to be a bulldog, though. He's got to be out there every 5th day. Mania, the A's just tendered him a contract right before the CBA deadline. So I don't know if the A's are going to trade him, but again, that's another guy too. Bassett, Mania from the A's are interesting guys we can look at. Yeah, Zach Gallen, he's pretty good, but I'm not going to say I know a lot about him, but those type of guys with teams that are not contending are probably not going to trade those guys that have a lot of service time. It's just less money for them. Yeah, Mark Melanson is interesting, though. He was cheap, but, yeah, I mean, that would have been nice. I honestly don't know what the Mets are going to do with the bullpen. Losing Loop, I think, hurt a lot, but the Mets got a lot of work to do in that bullpen, and that's something that the Mets really have to think about. The Mets can have Chris Bryant, Marte, Alonso. We'll have a deadly lineup. We might score 6 runs, but the bullpen might give up 7, So we got to really work on that bullpen because it can kill teams, as we've seen before. Ruiz with Brian will have, exactly. It's just a matter of I'll start him pitching. I think it's going to be fine, really solid, but our bullpen can just destroy teams, and we need a decent. I don't need guys that are great in the bullpen. Give me guys that are solid that goes out there when they need the big out, they get it. I don't need somebody that's going to blow by everybody and just be great every time like a loop. You don't need that. You need guys that are solid, that come out every game, that you need them in the 6th, you need them in the 8th, you need them in the 5th. They're out there. That's what the Mets need. Daniel, what's up? Shreve, Chafin, lefty, yes. Rogers would be great also, exactly. We just talked about Taylor Rogers from the Twins. Chafin and Shreve, that's interesting as well. We saw what Shreve can do 2 years ago for the Mets. Michael Scott, what's up? How you doing? Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, I don't think Edwin Diaz can handle the pressure, but I think his stuff is good enough where he can get 35 saves just by raw talent. But I do. Every time I think he comes in, I think he's gonna blow it. So he scares me like Armando Benitez. But at least Armando Benitez, was good during the season. He just sucked in the playoffs. Hypothetically, a good crosstown trade to make. Probably none. Oh, you know what? Speaking of that, somebody said to me, not said, I saw it on somewhere, some website. I think it's stupid now because we got Marte, but it was something about trading Aaron Hicks to the Mets for, I forgot who was the Met player that got traded for to the Yankees. I totally forgot who it was. I'm trying to think. I saw it on I think it was riseandapple.com or something like that. One of those Mets blogs. I forgot what it was. I really wish I can remember. But it was Aaron Hicks to the Mets and then somebody from the Mets to the Yankees. I forgot who it was. But I don't think any of those are going to happen. Even hypothetically. You could think of anything. A couple of years ago is DeGrom to the Yankees, Syndergaard to the Yankees. I mean, Ruiz sound the trumpets. Oh, that damn trumpet song. God, jeez. Got us all hyped, bouncing up and down, jumping, and Diaz blows a save. Do you think the Mets have a legit chance of signing the Japanese power? I thought it was very high, like 80-20, about 2 weeks ago. But right now, I don't think the Mets are going to go that route, even though he's probably going to be cheaper than a Bryant. But I heard the Yankees are very high on him, are really trying to get him. I don't think the Mets are going to go that route anymore. He can play the infield. He's a shortstop, can play third base, and he is an outfielder. So, but I don't think the Mets are going to be in as much as I thought they were before they got Kana and Marte. I think that kind of took him out of the, I guess, sweepstakes, so to speak. So I would say no, even though I think he would be very interesting actually to see play. He's got power. He's got raw power. He's under 30, which is always nice. But I don't think the Mets are going to get him, unfortunately. Yeah, for real. I mean, honestly, who's that power hitter on his team? I mean, there's nobody. I don't consider Lindor a power hitter. He can hit 20 home runs, 25 at best. Escobar, honestly, 2 years ago hit 30 2 years ago in 2019 he hit 38 home runs. So there's not a lot of power on his team. There's a lot of good average guys who can bat 270, 280, but besides the line, there ain't a lot of power guys. So Zach Greinke, could be an interesting veteran piece for the back of the bullpen. I don't want Harvey back. I think he's a dumpster fire coming back to New York. Kikuchi, again, 2 years I'll take. Well, we've been so slow. I honestly, I don't know, Michael. I honestly don't know. I think they were more concerned about getting their position players working in the starting pitching and worrying about the bullpen last, I guess. I don't know their logic behind that. Yeah, Cano's going to be on the opening day roster, probably as a DH, I guess. All right, guys. So it's about time to end this stream for the 1 hour Mets Hot Stove Live. I really do appreciate all you guys' support. Keep on rolling back. I'll see you next Tuesday for another Mets Hot Stove live. If there's any breaking news, I will go live again whenever that happens. If the Mets get their manager, hopefully soon. Once again, guys, memberships for joining the channel is going to go up tomorrow. So take a look at that when they go up tomorrow. I'll do a little intro video about the memberships and go into more detail. So it will be fun, free giveaways, member only live Q&As, all that fun stuff. Check out my Chris Bryant video that I did today if you haven't already. And just so you know, guys, if you're just tuning in, Joe DeMayo of SNY, I've been speaking to him. I'm going to do an interview with him regarding his top 20 prospects list for 2022 with the Mets. When I get that interview and edit the video and all that stuff, it will go up for you guys. So look out for that in about a week or two. Once again, guys, thank you for tuning in. Please hit on that like button, hit on that subscribe button, everybody, and I will see you next time. As always, Mets fans, let's go Mets. Have a good night, guys.